So, hi everyone. I got thinking again, and I'm thinking out loud now again. I've prepared a little bit here. The subject for today is rabbit holes. So, bear with me while I read it through and then see what my summarisation at the end of it is. So, I want to talk about something many of us have experienced but don't often name: rabbit holes. Mainstream ones, alternative ones, fringe ones, conspiracy ones, doom scrolling, news cycles, hidden truth threads, all of it. Because on the surface they look very different, but underneath they do something remarkably similar to the human body. Most rabbit holes don't begin with fear. They begin with curiosity. We've all been there, we've all been curious, so we start going down rabbit holes. And they start with discernment, with that feeling of something isn't quite right here, and that's not wrong. Questioning matters. We need to question. But somewhere along the way, curiosity quietly turns into vigilance. I need to know what's really going on. I need to stay informed. I need to understand the hidden layers. That need is the pivot point, because the body doesn't hear it as curiosity. The body hears it as we're not safe yet. We often think we're choosing between two very different worlds: mainstream narratives that feel fear-based or manipulative, alternative narratives that promise truth, awakening, or hidden knowledge. But psychologically and physiologically, they can have the same effect on the body. In both cases, meaning is handed to us, interpretations are delivered with confidence, and we're subtly encouraged to adopt them rather than discover our own. So we swap one version of doom for another, one authority for a different authority. The costume changes, the nervous system response doesn't. Here's the part that often gets missed. When the mind is repeatedly exposed to threat-based narratives, real or imagined, the body prepares. Not dramatically, not with panic, but with bracing. Muscles hold, breathing subtly changes, systems stay alert. There may be no tiger in the room, but vigilance itself is the stressor. Over time, that low-grade readiness can become pain, tension, fatigue, headaches, digestive issues, not because the stories are true or false, but because the state of watchfulness never switches off. The body is doing exactly what it's designed to do: protect. I noticed this in my own life over the years as I chased answers through rabbit holes, narratives, and searching for hidden truths. My body quietly carried the weight of constant vigilance. Even when I wasn't consciously panicking, I could feel that underlying bracing. And on top of that, my personal traumas and ongoing health challenges amplified that tension, creating a cycle where my nervous system stayed on a high alert. It wasn't the stories themselves, it was how my body responded to the constant need to know and control everything. This made me realise that our minds and bodies are deeply intertwined. What we feed the mind ripples through our nervous system and shows up physically. There's another cost that's less visible. When we adopt narratives, mainstream or alternative, we quietly give up agency. Someone else is telling us what to fear, what to watch, what matters, what's coming. And our role becomes observer, decoder, sentinel. But living in constant interpretation mode pulls us out of our own lives, out of presence, out of embodiment. We're informed, but not free. Letting go of rabbit holes doesn't mean becoming naive. It doesn't mean ignoring the world. It means releasing the grip, stepping out of the posture of I must stay on watch. It means recognizing that discernment doesn't require constant vigilance. Wisdom doesn't demand nervous system exhaustion. Sometimes the most radical act is finding another explanation. It's allowing the body to stand down. So if you found yourself moving from one narrative to another, like I have, from one truth claim to the next, like I have, from one sense of looming threat to a different one, like I have, it might be worth pausing and asking, what is this doing to my body? not intellectually, physiologically, and what might happen if even briefly you didn't need to know. Sometimes healing doesn't come from better answers. It comes from releasing the stance that says something is always wrong and letting the body feel what safety actually feels like. Now, why have I said this? Why have I read this? Because in my life, I've noticed that when I started going down rabbit holes, coupled together with my own personal traumas, it left my body in a state of fight or flight, which I'm currently still navigating. And I think what it is because we do swap one narrative for another. One we call mainstream narrative, the other one we call alternative narrative. We call it as, awakened narrative. So we swap one kind of rabbit hole for another kind of rabbit hole, and then we get alerted to all these things that are happening or allegedly happening, or different rabbit holes that kind of drag your consciousness into a place where the body ends up feeling that it's being threatened and it's in danger. And in my experience, what's happened to me, and I can only speak for myself, but I'm putting it out there so that others can maybe recognise the pattern. I feel that what happened is basically I got caught up in so many of these narratives. I was so kind of emotionally involved and invested, and it just kind of got stuck in my body. And when it gets stuck in your body, how does the body react? It reacts like there is a tiger in the room. There's danger going on, because you're feeding your subconsciousness all these narratives of doom, gloom, rabbit holes that you go down that aren't pleasant. They're not pleasant. So the body gets stuck, and when it gets stuck, it manifests in ill health, it manifests in pain, it manifests in anxiety, in sleeplessness, and all sorts of things. So rabbit holes, I don't do them anymore. And I would say that you need to be present. And what these rabbit holes and what these narratives do, they take you out of the present, and they catapult you into a scenario of horror, a scenario of fear, and it takes you away from enjoying your life, because you're so caught up in these rabbit holes, these narratives, these stories, whether they're mainstream, whether they're alternative, whether they're from the truther movement, from a spiritual kind of perspective. It just kind of consumes us, body and soul, literally. It does. And now I'm working my way out of that. I'm still navigating a physical discomfort and pain on a day-to-day basis, and I realised that what catapulted it, what started it all off, was the doom and gloom. And it all started in the COVID time, and then I had some personal things happen in terms of family traumas, and so on top of all that, the body just kind of shut down. My body just basically said, no, I need to protect you. You're always in danger. You're always kind of facing the tiger, and my job is to brace the body and to be ready to run. And my body's been braced ever since, and it's been showing itself through pain. So next time you are tempted to go down a rabbit hole, think twice and ask yourself, how is this going to affect me? How's it going to affect my body? How's it going to affect my mind? How's it going to affect my presence? Am I going to be dragged into something that's going to take me away from the now and enjoying my life? And if you think that the question is, yeah, it's going to do that, don't do it. I've learnt my lesson.